Hey, Magic the Gathering players, it's Ivy again. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into a really popular deck type right now for Tribal with Commander Legends 2 Baldur's Gate. There's a lot of really powerful dragons that came out that I wanted to kind of update this deck and share with you guys kind of what I'm working on. I'm sure that you guys will have variations in this build, or you may throw in some stuff that maybe I don't have that's better than what I have. Feel free to drop some info in the comments, and we'll just kind of go ahead and take it from there and kind of see what we can do with this one. I think this build is pretty solid, and you'll go ahead and see why here in a minute. So let's dive right into it and take a look at the commander. So the commander card is going to be the Dragon. As you can see, the Dragon is a high mana cost. I mean, it's a 9 cost CMC. There's no getting around that. I mean, he's really a huge beater that you're going to be able to get him out at some point, but it's going to be a little while. While he's in the command zone, he has Eminence. Same thing as like an Edgar Markov type ability, Eminence. As long as the Dragon is in the command zone or in the battlefield, other dragon spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. He's got flying. Whenever one or more dragons you control attack, draw that many cards. Then you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. So really pretty good card. Now, keep in mind that it's probably just that one cost reduction that's going to be helpful in a deck build like this. Considering the CMC for a lot of these dragons is kind of high, but I do have some pretty fascinating ways to kind of skirt around some of that. So why don't we go ahead and jump into the 99 and see what we got. So we're going to hit up some of these non-basic lands. I mean, basically the whole deck is going to be ran with non-basic lands. So by all means, let's go ahead and kind of see what we got here. So it looks like we got Cascading Cataracts. It's a 5-color. Basically what you want to do is indestructible. It's kind of like a filter. So you put the 5 in, and out pops 5 different color mana for what you need. The dragons are 5 different colors. It's all Wooburg, so yeah, definitely need a card like this to kind of filter your mana and hopefully get you the right colors that you need for certain dragons. So good to have. Next card we're going to look at is Crystal Quarry. It's pretty much the same as the last one, guys. I mean, it's, look at it. I mean, fundamentally, these two, the only difference is one of the lands is indestructible. So they basically reprinted Crystal Quarry, but they made one of them indestructible. So it's kind of cool. It's basically the same land, but different names, so I can use it in this deck. Next we got Temple of the False God. You can tap it to add 2 of any color. If you're playing Commander, I'm sure you've probably seen this land before. It's quite common in a lot of decks. Next we got is Morphic Pool. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents, which if you're playing Commander, it's going to come into play untapped typically. It's pretty rare that you play just one player. Same thing with Luxury Suite. It's a dual land that comes into play untapped. So it's just as good in Commander as one of those original, old school dual lands from like the beginning of Magic's history. The things are like $400, $500, $600, $700. I don't think anyone wants to pay that anymore. So I think that this is a good way to go. Obviously, these Commander lands are amazing. I'm going to go ahead and kind of repeat that here. Same thing, Commander land, just obviously a blue-green. Again, same thing. Comes into play untapped. You have more than one opponent. Now here's what we're going to look at as far as fetch lands. Or no, I'm sorry, not fetch lands. This would be a shock land. So you can play it untapped or tapped. If you play it tapped, you don't take 2 damage. If you obviously put it out untapped, you take 2 damage. But it's good to get you some mana when you need it. I have a few of those. We got Sacred Foundry. The other one was Overgrown Tomb. We got Breeding Pool in there. Next one's going to be Stomping Ground. Now, the cool thing about these is with fetch lands, you can go get these. So because they say mountain forest like this, if you draw up a fetch land, you can go get it. If it has, if you're going to go get a mountain or a forest, well, you can go get this. Or if any of the fetch land criteria, it allows you to go ahead and get one of these. Or even a Triumph. A lot of the Triumphs have that now too. We got Blood Crypt in here, again, another shock land, super useful. Now here's where we got all our fetch lands. So we got Verdant Catacombs, And you pay 1 life, you sack it, you go get either a swamp or forest. So if you wanted to get, let's say, this, you could get the black and the red you need, even though you're just tutoring up for the swamp. So it kind of gives you the option for both, which is kind of cool. I like that. Next we got is Arid Mesa. Same deal, fetch land. I also threw in Marsh Flats, another fetch land. We got Misty Rainforest, another fetch land. Wooded Foothills, from back in the day, I think it's from the Cons block, way back in the day. And then, of course, we got the last would be Scalding Tarn. And then, of course, yeah, you just, same idea. You got some fetch lands. You go get what you need. Some of these other ones we got are specialty lands here, specifically for Dragon Tribal. What you can do with this is, of course, you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast a dragon or creature spell. Or if you want, you can pay 2. Tap it, sacrifice the Haven to the Spirit Dragon. Return target dragon creature card or Ugin Planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. So if one of your dragons gets countered, you have this land. You can pay the 2, tap it, sack it, and then go get your dragon back if you really want that dragon to be out. We got Path of Ancestry. If you play Commander, I'm sure this is a pretty frequently seen card. You add 1 mana of any color in your Commander's color identity. When mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your Commander, you scry 1. Super cool. This one's a command tower. Obviously, I'm not going to explain that. I think you know what that does. Opal Palace. I guess for new players that don't know what this is, basically you pay the 1, you tap it. You add to mana 1 mana of any color in your Commander's color identity. If you spend this mana to cast your Commander, it enters the battlefield with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of times it's been cast from the command zone this game. So I don't think he's going to get cast very much, but hey, you know what? You never know. He might come out. Lotus Field is hexproof. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you sacrifice 2 lands. You add 3 mana of any 1 color. Super useful. Looks like we got, next one's going to be Crucible of the Spirit Dragon. So you add, you can pay 1, put a storage counter on Crucible of the Spirit Dragon. You can remove X storage counters from Crucible of the Spirit Dragon. To add X mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool, spend this mana only to cast dragon spells or activate abilities of dragons. So again, it's a very good dragon tribal related card to have. You can't really run this deck without Cavern of Souls. I mean, guys, seriously, your dragons have become uncounterable at this point once you play this or you tap the mana to use to play one of the dragons. So, yeah, pretty much a given for this deck. Gotta have it. Secluded Courtyard. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, or activate an ability of a creature of the creature or creature card of the chosen type. So, long story short, a lot of text. Basically, you tap it to, put out a dragon or use an activated ability on one of your dragon cards. Next one's going to be Unclaimed Territory. It's really fundamentally a very similar idea. You add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type. So tribal. On a tribal deck like this, you're just going to say it's dragons. Similar idea, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, spend this mana only to play creature spells. So a lot of dragons and other things in this deck, so you'll definitely be casting a lot of creatures. Reflecting Pool, add 1 mana of any type of that a land you control could produce. So if you can produce 5 colors of mana, well, then you produce 5 colors with that. It's really super good, and it comes into play untapped, which is super helpful. Next one we got is City of Brass. Obviously, you can tap it to get any color mana, but then, of course, you take a damage when you do that. So, good land to get you what you need when you need it. Exotic Orchard, of course, you tap it to get a color mana from one of your opponents, which high probability you may get all 5 colors from that. This is the only weak land in here. It's a tap land. It comes into play tapped, but you get those 3 colors, so still pretty useful. We do have some triomes. These are fetchable because they contain the text Island, Mountain, and Plains. This one gives you obviously those. The next triome is going to be a Plains, Swamp, and Forest. We got Savai in here, which is going to be mountain, plains, swamp. Then we got Spara's headquarters, which is plains, or excuse me, forest, plains, and island. And then the final and last triome is going to be this guy. Of course, swamp, forest, and island. So super, super useful cards in there. I like triomes because they give you up 3 different things. It does come into play chaps. It's the only caveat, but hey, it's a great card. Gives you 3 colors of mana. Good way to start, putting out some stuff you need. Now we're just going to hit up some of these rocks. This one's pretty well stable for all commander decks. It's Commander Sphere. I'm not going to get into much of this. I think you've seen it before. A great add is Mox Amber, because you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. A lot of these dragons are legendary, so, it's probably going to get you what you need. Next we got is Arcane Signet. Obviously, you can see what it does. It gets you a mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Soul Ring, I'm not going to explain that. It's in every commander deck. Chromatic Lantern, you tap it to get mana of any color that you need. And of course, you can give your lands, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So that is super useful. You can get whatever you need. Now, these ones are recent releases with the new set. With Baldur's Gate, this came out, and it turns out turns out to be a really good rock. If you add the red mana, if that mana is spent on a dragon creature spell, it gains haste until end of turn. So you can get your dragon out and swing and get treasure tokens and all kinds of cool stuff with that. Next one I liked was this one when you add the forest, when you add green. When you spend this mana to cast a dragon creature spell, it enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it and gains hexproof until your next turn. So people can't pick it off by the time it gets to your turn, so you at least get a shot at maybe using that dragon. And then last for the rocks we got is Darksteel Ingot. It's indestructible. You can, of course, get mana of any color in your mana pool. So really super good set of rocks and lands. Now let's hit up some of the artifacts that I threw in here. Herald's Horn, is a card that basically coupons the dragons further in addition to what the commander does. So obviously you can choose dragons and then of course pay 1 less to cast them. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it is a dragon card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So you drop a dragon, it goes in your hand. Super useful. This one's a cheatsy card. So basically, if you pay the 4, just any color, you can tap it and you can put a creature card from your hand in the battlefield. So if you have a 7-drop or 8-drop dragon, you just pay the 4 for it and it comes into play. Now, because the creature isn't cast, any cast triggers don't apply. But the good news is when you put something into play, it's not counterable. You can't counter that. Now, somebody can try to exile it once it hits the battlefield and some other stuff, but while it's being put in the battlefield, it's not cast. So there is some advantages to doing that. I threw this in here. Quick creature has haste and shroud. So the cool thing about doing this is, again, you can immediately equip it to one of your dragons you just cast, play that dragon, swing with the dragon, do some damage, do cool stuff. And then if you play another dragon the next turn, you can move the boots over so that you can play that dragon that turn. So it's a good way to ramp out damage because you can equip it for 0, you can transfer from dragon to dragon, and the one that it's protecting is Shroud. So Lightning Greaves works great in this deck if you know what you're doing. I'm going to pause for a second, guys. I went ahead and this is a unused arena code, so if any of you guys play Magic Arena online, please feel free to copy down that code. Just pause the video, and whoever gets it, gets it. It's only 1 code, so somebody's going to get a bunch of free packs if you use that, okay? All right, hope you get lucky with that. All right, next we got is going to be, it looks like Frontier Siege. As Frontier Siege enters the battlefield, choose Khans or Dragons. If you choose Khans at the beginning of each of your main phases, add green mana, 2 green mana to your mana pool. So got some mana ramp on main phase 1 and main phase 2. If you want to choose Dragons, whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under control, you may have it fight target creature you don't control. So you can start wiping people out just by casting high cost things and making them attack other people's lower cost stuff. Now, here's a really great card that shines in this deck. Dragons cost a lot to get out, so there's a high probability your opponents will be casting more creatures than you before you get one or two of them out. So during your upkeep, if one of your opponents controls three or more creatures, you sacrifice Defense of the Heart, search your library for up to 2 creature cards, and put those creatures into play. So again, really great card if you want to get out some dragons for free. Really good stuff. Lurking Predators. Now, this one, the reason I chose this is, yeah, CMC 6, but whenever an opponent casts a spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, they may put that card on the bottom of your library. So, at least gives you an idea what's on top of your deck. If you have a dragon sitting there, it just goes into play. And I actually ran this card in a game and ended up just putting out just two, as each player cast a dragon or casts a spell, I went and pulled the dragon, put it in, pulled the dragon, put it in, pulled the dragon, put it in. The value engine on something like this could be really huge if you pull up a lot of dragons in a row. So definitely worth it. Crucible of Fire gives dragon creatures control, +3/+3. Brutal. If you get it out, it's going to make them pumped up really big. Good buff to have. Dragon Tempest. Whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, it gains haste until end of turn. So automatically gives them haste, which is amazing. It's like just like the Lightning Greaves, so really helpful. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to target creature or player, where X is the number of dragons you control. Super useful. All right, so next we're going to do is hit this one, Kindred Discovery. As Kindred Discovery enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, you can draw a card. Super helpful. Now, we got some ramp going on here. So with Tempt with Discovery, it looks like they have Tempting Offer. You can search your library for a land card and put it in the battlefield. Each opponent may search their library for a land card and put it on the battlefield. For each opponent who searches a library that way, search your library for a land card and put it into the battlefield. Then each player who searched their library this way shuffles it. So definitely a good way to get you some ramp, and you might make a few friends at the table that don't really pay attention to what you're doing. They may want that land, and that's a good way to tempt them to go ahead and get one. All right, we got Crucible of Fire. Crooks of Fate. You choose one, destroy all dragon creatures or destroy all non-dragons. Obviously, you're going to choose non-dragons on a deck like this. Next we got is going to be Farseek. Farseek, search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card and put that into battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. Because it's not saying basic plains, etc., you can go get a triome or maybe a shockland or something with that. Super helpful. Now, let's hit up some of these things here. I've got a couple of tutors. We got Worldly Tutor in there. Search your library for a creature card and reveal that card to all players. Shuffle your library and put the reveal card back on top of it. Maybe you want to go get, you'll see, maybe Tiamat or one of the big boy dragons to do some cool stuff. Next we got is Congregation at Dawn. Now, I had a different card that was a creature that allowed me to tutor up for a dragon, but then I saw this and said, you can search your library for up to 3 creature cards at once and reveal them. You can shuffle your library, then put those cards on top of it in any order. So if you play this, you can grab up some of the coupon-y creatures, like things that reduce the cost of the dragons. And if you put that out, you put the coupon card out, you have a dragon next, you play the dragon for really cheap. See where I'm going with this? You can stack your pulls so you can coupon the next dragon that's playing. I thought that would be a really neat way to kind of do something cool where you can get the dragons out really easy for low mana cost. Now this guy, we got Sarkhan Unbroken. You can pay 1 to draw a card, then add 1 mana of any color. Very useful. Just pay 1 for card draw. You create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. That's helpful. Honestly, guys, if you can get him up to -8, if nobody deals with this planeswalker, you can search your library for any number of dragon cards and put them into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So it's an uncounterable ability. It's on a planeswalker, so you have to kill the planeswalker. But if you can get him up to 8 and ultimate this planeswalker, you just basically tutor up your whole deck and put it into play. That's just so busted. That's incredibly, incredibly good. The next one I threw in was, I figured I'd put the Dragon God in there, Nicobolus, God Pharaoh. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of his or her library until he or she exiles a non-land card. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. So if you can get the 7 mana for this guy, you can just take people's stuff and display it. Hey, it's crazy. If you want to +1 them, each opponent exiles 2 cards from their hand. So you can sap away people's hands. -4, Nicobolus, God Pharaoh deals 7 damage to target opponent or creature an opponent controls. If you want to -12 them, if you can get them up that high, you exile each non-land permanent your opponent's control. So it's even just crazy. It's better than well, it's basically a board wipe, obviously, but you can kind of see what's going on there. It's just really good creature to have. Plus that +2 ability is just awesome. +2 and +1 are really good. I like those. All right, so now we're going to jump into some mana-producing creatures and some other nifty effects. So we got Bird the Paradise. You know what that does. You tap it for any color mana. We got this guy. So I looked at him and I'm like, well, that would be, he only costs 1. So you can probably get him out on turn 1 if he's in your hand. As long as he got red mana. Whenever minion of the mighty attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater, which most of these dragons are, you may put a dragon card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. That's pretty brutal if you can get that off. You know, I have not yet been able to get this off because I haven't drawn him in a situation where I could use him. So you never know. We'll see what happens. Next we got is going to be Taigam. I think it's Ujutai Master. The reason I put him in was that it allows for your dragons, if you don't have Cavern of Souls out, it's the spells you control can't be countered by spells or abilities from other people. Now this instant or sorcery stuff, spell gains rebound, so maybe you get lucky with that on, I don't know, maybe one of the fetch, what is it, the tutor cards or something. There's not a lot of sorceries or instants in this deck, but you know, I really wanted it just for its main ability to shut down people countering your dragons. So obviously I put more coupon cards in here. This guy, dragon spells he casts are 1 less to cast. Super useful. This guy allows you to basically tutor up a dragon. You can put it into play as though it were just played. Then that creature got haste, unaffected by summoning sicknesses. The old terminology from the old days that represents haste. You remove a creature from the game at the end of the turn. So you want to pick up something that's going to deal some like lethal damage or create a ton of treasure tokens or do something really cool. Now, next we got is going to be Kalia. I don't see people run Kalia in this deck, but I put her in there because it's pretty obvious. If I get her out and swing, you may put an angel, demon, or dragon creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking that opponent. It's so good. I mean, I don't see people run Kalia in here, and that's what drives me nuts. I'm like, guys, Kalia, she can go in and like just pump out dragons for you. Next we got Bloom Tender. Again, it's just tap it to get mana of these different colors and things for each color among permanents. You're probably going to eventually have 5 colors, so you get five different different colors of mana from that. Obviously, another coupon card makes the dragon spells 2 less to cast. Now, people are going to say, well, you could use Urza's Incubator. I thought about it. Just, I was thinking I wanted to, anytime I need a tutor for a creature, I'd have to get an artifact tutor. So I said, you know what, I got a creature tutors. If I tutor this out, play it, then play the dragon, and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely going to be to my advantage. So it's just, I figured out it might work a little better if I can go get that stuff. So there's a few interesting little synergies that pop up when I do that. Next we're going to choose is this one. Now we're going to jump in all the dragons, guys. This is basically the whole list of dragons that you're going to want to cast in this deck. So you can see a CMC is 5, 3 red and 2. Whenever Scourge of Alcus or another dragon enters the battlefield under control, it deals X damage to target a creature or player where X is the number of dragons you control. And of course, you can pump him up if you want. Got a lot of red floating around. Next card we're going to hit is this one here. This is a new one from New Capenna. It has flying at the beginning of your end step. You may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Zayatura the Lacerator deals damage to that creature's power to any target, and you create 3 treasure tokens. So if you get something huge and maybe you want to knock out a player, I thought about, like, let's say there's a player who's down, that person's down to like 6 life. You can go ahead and sack something and then just knock them out of the game. And they just don't see it coming. So I thought it was an interesting mechanic. I may trade that guy out for something else, but we'll see. Next we got is Niv Mizzet Draco Genius. He deals combat damage to a player. You may draw a card, so you can pump stuff into him to ping people and draw cards. So I thought that was kind of neat. So kind of a fun little feature there. Next we got is some new stuff from Baldur's Gate. It's going to be flying whenever you cast an adventure spell or dragon spell. Lozan, Dragon's Legacy, deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target that isn't a commander. So super useful. Savage Ventmaw, I put him in here for mana generation. He is flying whenever Savage Ventmaw attacks. You can add 3 red, 3 green to your mana pool until the end of turn. This mana doesn't empty from your mana pool as steps and phases end. So it's really good to have that. That's just like mana just hanging out in the wings if you need it. Next dragon we're going to look at is this one. We've got Thrakus the Butcher. Whenever Thrakus the Butcher attacks, double the power of each dragon you control until end of turn. Super good. Jeez. Next we got is going to be Ganax Astral Hunter. When Ganax Astral Hunter or another dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a treasure token. And of course you can choose background if you want for him. Now the last row is a lot of really huge heavy beater cards. I mean, again, high CMC, 8 CMC is massive, but I'm running a lot of tutors and cheatsy ways to get them out and coupon cards, so I have gotten these guys out pretty quick, so you'd be surprised. Of course, it's whenever a dragon you control attacks, create a 6/6 red dragon creature token with flying. And he's a 6/6, so you can basically attack and just multiply the amount of dragons you're making. Really super useful. Next we got is Balefire Dragon. Whenever Balefire Dragon deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to each creature that player controls. Super useful. Next we got is this one. Okagachi Vengeful Kami. It is flying and trample. Whenever Okagachi, this monster, deals combat damage to a player, if that player attacked you during his or her last turn, exile target non-land permanent that player controls. Super useful. Next up is going to be, I want to say it's Meirim. I think that's how you say it. Meirim, a Sentinel Worm. It is flying in Ward 2. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of it, except the token isn't legendary if the dragon is legendary. This is really good. Wow. I mean, if you drop you'll see some of the Elder Dragons, you just copy it, make another one. So good. This guy was Dragon Lord Ujutai. He has hexproof as long as he is untapped. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. So it allows you to kind of grab something and drop the extra ones you don't need. We got Inferno of the Star Mounts. Obviously, I put him in there, can't be countered. He's flying in haste. You can pump him up if you want. And if you can get him up to 20, it deals 20, that's just busted. I mean, it's hard to get that kind of mana, but you never know. It could happen with treasure tokens and stuff. You'll probably get there. Atarka World Render. When a dragon you control attacks, it gains double strike until end of turn. That's 12. You're dealing in 12 damage. It's so good. Next we got is Drakusath Maw of Flames. When it attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target. 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets. So you could, start blowing up creatures on the board with that. Thunderbreak Regent, whenever a dragon you control becomes target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, Thunderbreak Regent deals 3 damage to that player. So it's a good way to nail somebody for trying to punt one of your dragons. Unless maybe they punt that one, or we'll see. Now, Kyodai, Soul of Kamigawa. You can flash it in if you want. When Kyodai, Soul of Kamigawa, enters the battlefield, another target permanent gains indestructible for as long as you control Kyodai. So let's say someone tries to jump block one of your dragons, like fly, it's kind of hard to do that, but if they do, you can put this in, make them indestructible, and then, still live through that. Or do some other cool things to prevent your dragon from being destroyed on someone else's turn. We got Wazatora, Nekaru Queen. Flying and trample, when she deals combat damage to a player, that player sacrifices the creature. If the player can't, you create a 3/3 black, red, and green cat dragon creature token with flying. Cat dragons. That's cool. Alright, next we got is Bladewing the Risen. When Bladewing the Risen enters the battlefield, you may return target dragon permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if somebody did manage to counter one of your dragons or destroy it, send it to the graveyard. You can play Bladewing and bring it back out. So I think this is a pretty good card. I did actually use it to go get stuff. If you want, you can also pump up your dragons if you have some extra free mana floating around and you want to unload it and make them stronger. We got Goldspan Dragon. Whenever this dragon attacks or becomes a target of a spell, create a treasure token. Treasures you control have tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 2 mana of any one color. So makes your treasures even more valuable. Next we got Hellkite Tyrant. When Hellkite Tyrant deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls. Well, there's your mana ramp. You just take it from somebody else and just take all their rocks, or if God forbid someone, you get this out and you have an Urza player and oh, my stuff is artifacts, you just knock it out and steal them all. It's busted if you get it off. Next we got Dirigraz Reincarnated. He has Flying Trample Haste, which is pretty epic just in its own. If you would die, instead exile with 3 egg counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Dirigraz is exiled with an egg counter on it, remove an egg counter from it. Then if he has no egg counters on it, he returns the battlefield. It's a really cool way to get him back out into play without having to go get him or something. It's kind of cool. Wrathful Red Dragon. Whenever a dragon you control is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target that isn't a dragon. So super helpful. I threw Ramos in here because I thought that I could probably pump him up and do some cool things. Whenever you cast a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Ramos, Dragon Engine for each of that spell's colors, which there's going to be a lot of multicolor spells in here. Remove 5 +1/+1 counters from Ramos. You can add double Wooburg. Activate this ability once per turn. That's really pretty good. So, I mean, it works better in a deck where you're just pitching out a lot of spells, but you're going to get off 5 sooner or later, and you'll be able to get whatever's in your hand out into play. So, really super good. Now, we got some of the really heavy hitters. We got Old Nabo in here. He's so good because whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you create that many treasure tokens. So, oof, really good. Jeez. Next, we got is Tiamat. Now, here's the fun part about this card. When Tiamat enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards not named Tiamat that each have different names. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. So you're going to go get Gnawbone and some of the other ones. It's so good. It's just amazing if you get this out. All right, so here we hit the newest stuff from Baldur's Gate. So obviously we got our Ancient Silver Dragon. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. Draw cards equal to the result. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Busted. Next we got is Ancient Brass Dragon. Whenever Ancient Brass Dragon deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. When you do, put any number of target creature cards with total mana value X or less from graveyards into the battlefield under control, where X is the result. Busted. Just so much power there. If you're a later game, you drop this guy and start yanking stuff out of people's graveyards after a board wipe. It's just ridiculous. Ancient Copper Dragon. Whenever Ancient Copper Dragon deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. You create that many treasure tokens. Oh boy. Treasure tokens, like a whole pile of them every time it deals damage. It's great. And last but not least, I guess if you need lots of chump blockers, you could use this one. Whenever Ancient Gold Dragon deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. You create a number of 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature tokens with flying equal to the result. Now, what's really important about this is it's designated them as dragons, so any of your buff spells that buff dragons are buffing these fairy tokens. Yeah, you see where this is going? This is just so good. I mean, these ones here, obviously from the new set, are just incredible. I'm missing one of them, which I might put it in and slot it out for something else. One of these other dragons, but guys, this is how you do it. You just go ahead and get Tiamat out, cast them, tutor up these 4, I guess, or 5, excuse me. Just tutor them up, put them in your hand. You start putting them out and putting them out and putting them out, and just busted after a while. It's crazy. Guys, thanks for watching my deck tech video for dragons. This is going to be probably pretty popular considering that's what's out right now. And then, of course, we have the Double Masters 2-drop leak, so that's going to be insane, right? Really, really epic stuff. But yeah, please drop me some comments. Tell me what you think about this deck, any improvements you would suggest, swap outs, that kind of thing. I want to hear them because I want to try to get that deck to be a little bit better. Again, these are some of just random dragons I have from my collection that I've been holding on to. And of course, again, I'll just leave this, I'm sure earlier in the video, if you're watching this far, you probably got it the first time, but I'll leave this arena code for you guys so you have something you can try out. But yeah, I mean, this guy came from an old D&D set from a long time ago. He's a Gargantuan Blue Dragon. And he's, they don't make too many of these. They're kind of limited. Well, it says limited edition, but they're kind of rare. And of course, we got Tiamat right here. Here's the figure. I actually did a review on this figure recently, so if you go back on my channel and just check it out, there you go. There's Tiamat on the card. And then there's Tiamat as the figure. So, pretty cool stuff. Guys, thanks a bunch. Hopefully I'll be making you guys some more deck tech videos, so keep an eye out for that. And I will see you very soon. We will be making more amazing fun things. And, oh boy, look at what's going on with Double Masters 2022. Double Masters 2. Alright, see you soon. Bye now.